Hi, Mr. Sal. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing very well.
Good.
Kind of
good
wish
to see you.
you too. You too. I just kind of wish it would warm back up again. You know.
I know. We had a couple of days there.
I was really enjoying like 70-degree weather in March, but.
Me too.
So have you been going out any while it's been warm?
A little bit, yeah, with my dogs.
Yeah.
Take them out and enjoy the heat.
Yeah. Have you still been going out to the dog park, or have you tried that out yet?
When it was warm, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
Good.
Haven't met anybody yet. But.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good deal. Do you remember anything, from last week? Do you remember what we talked about?
I think we talked about drinking a little bit and seeing my family.
Yeah. Okay. That's exactly what we talked about. We discussed, some of the drinking and that you wanted to address that problem that's kind of come up in your life so far. Is that still what you want to do?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. So, I've just got some kind of questions about frequency, just kind of how you feel throughout the whole drinking process. Just kind of get a little bit of a background about, where you're coming from and see what is kind of contributing to the problem. So, to start off with, what are some reasons you think you're drinking? What are some things that might be causing that? Or
well, it started back after my wife died, and I think probably just not liking being alone. It helps.
Okay, so it helps you feel less lonely?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still by yourself drinking, and it helps relieve the loneliness. And anything else? Do you feel anything else before drinking? Anger, frustration, anything?
Just sad.
Sadness. Okay. Okay, so it feels like it's all stemming from your wife's, the passing of your wife. That was 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
4.
So that was 4 years ago, and did you start drinking right after?
It was about a year after.
Okay,
I think.
so about a year after
if I
her
remember
passing.
correctly.
Okay, so is that when you started feeling more alone?
Yeah, well, my kids don't live here. I don't have any family close by except for my one son, and I don't see him very often. So, I don't know, probably.
Okay. Were you active in anything before your wife's death, or even right after, within that?
I did have a weekly poker game, and we were involved in some things together. So,
and you haven't been participating in those after her passing?
No, they were all couples things. So
okay. And with the poker, when did you stop doing that? Was that in the same time frame?
Yeah, whenever she passed.
Okay, was that a couples thing too, or was that just you and the guys?
No, it was just me and the guys. But it just my drinking was kind of off-putting to some of them, I think, because before it was just a beer or two, and then it increased a little bit, and they nagged me about it a bit, so I just ignored them and eventually stopped going and grew apart from them.
Okay. So, when did you stop going to that completely? How long ago was that?
Ooh, probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Okay. 1.5 to 2 years ago. And I'm just writing all of this down so I get everything clear and don't get anything mixed up, and I have something to reference. Okay, so you stopped seeing your friends about a year and a half ago. Would you like to see them again? Would you like to, spend more time with them, maybe go back to poker nights?
I don't think so. I think, maybe a fresh start would be good for me, because they were all part of my life before So.
Okay. And you don't want anything to do with things from
Well,
your life before?
I don't want to cut everything off. Obviously my children are very important to me, but I don't think that it's necessary to go back and go through the effort of making amends when I could just try to make new friends, even though that's difficult, because going back is, it's hard, and I feel like there's a lot more work to do there rather than just making new friends. Obviously, we weren't close enough for any of them to continue pursuing me and vice versa, so.
Okay, so you have no desire to see them again?
I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's good, not to burn bridges, because sometimes it's good to have people who have seen where you've been and where you've come from, to kind of, they've got all of that history with you. You said from our last meetings, that you have been going to poker night since you were 30 or thereabouts, correct? So, you've known these guys for, what, 40 years or so? So I think sometimes it is good if it's a negative, if it has negative consequences on your life, like if seeing them increased your drinking more, or if there was just some kind of negative feelings there. But at some point, maybe we could work on getting you reintegrated with them if that's something that you would feel comfortable doing at that time. We can cross that bridge, if you get there. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Okay. And if you, for some reason feel like at some point that I'm not on track with what you want, just let me know. I want this to be very integrative of all of your wishes too, in a productive way. So I don't want to implement my opinions or my personal wishes for you over your own.
I appreciate that.
So if at any point that becomes a problem, just correct me and we'll retrack. Okay? So at some point, if you want to get back together with your old friends, we can definitely work on that. Sometimes it's good because they do already have that history with you, and
sure.
Friends are sometimes very forgiving, so we can look at that. Okay, so so you started drinking, and that kind of broke that friendship because they didn't.
It was more just gradual distance. Nothing
Okay.
one in particular. Just that. That was kind of the start of it. But.
Okay. So about a year and a half ago, you kind of cut ties with friends, isolated yourself more. Did your drinking increase then? What was it before your friends? When you started drinking about a year after your wife's death, how many were you drinking?
Probably 1 to 2
a day or a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 to 2 a day before you distanced from your friends, and then after you grew distant from your friends, how many were you drinking?
Probably 3 or 4.
3 to 4 a night or a day. And is that where it's at now, or has it increased?
Yeah, it's about the same.
Okay. So, do you see any correlations there?
I think it just was, feeling more lonely.
Yeah.
That increased it.
Okay. So I think that's very accurate too. That it obviously looks like that kind of is what happened. So maybe by us, working on getting you reintegrated with some groups or some new friends, do you think that might help with the feelings of loneliness?
I think
that
so.
Affect the drinking? Okay. Well, then we can definitely maybe set some goals. Do you want to do that? Okay. So isolation is a trigger for your drinking. Does anything else trigger the drinking? I know we talked about feeling sad stemming from your wife's death. Have those feelings of sadness, how are they now? Compared to when you started your drinking again.
Compared to when I started a few years ago, they're better. I think, the natural grieving process has taken its, course. But, they're definitely still there.
Yeah. And I'm sure, they'll always be there because, you've said before she was the love of your life. So, I can understand that. Okay, so when you are drinking and you feel less isolated, does it help with any sadness too?
Yeah.
Okay. How long after you drink does that, last?
I mean, I usually just go to sleep afterwards. So, till the next morning.
Okay. Alrighty, so it doesn't seem like it's a very lasting solution, does it? No. Okay. Well, then we can just kind of move into some goal setting if you'd like to do that. Let's try to set some goals that we know you can meet and that seem realistic and that are some good positive goals. So, what would you like to do in regards to the drinking? What kind of goals would you like to set?
I don't know. I need some guidance with that, but probably long term, not drinking anymore.
Okay,
obviously, because it's causing more health problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so decreased drinking in the long term. Long term. Okay. So maybe we could start by maybe cutting back by a couple of drinks each night. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so maybe by the time of our next meeting, maybe you can calculate how many drinks a week you're doing or you're drinking, and then we can from there cut back maybe one drink a night or 2 drinks a night. How many would you like to do?
I'd probably start with 2, just
okay,
for comfort reasons.
Okay. So cut back 2 drinks per night by our next meeting. Okay. And if that's, if that seems like it's too big of a step, we can cut back and we can reevaluate where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say by our next meeting, I want you to count how many drinks you drink a night compared to how many you would normally drink in the same amount of time. Okay? Also, you were wanting to kind of get maybe reintegrated into some groups, maybe meet some new friends. Yeah? Okay, so is there anything that you know about in the community that we could do? I've got some ideas that I've come up with, and I just kind of...
we had talked about dancing.
Okay.
So I think that would be fun.
Okay. Yeah, and there's several dance classes in this town, and there's dances that they have every Saturday night down at the community center. If you would like to do that, they also have at the senior center. They have a couple dances every month, about every other week. So, would you like to try to do one of those?
Yeah, maybe I could attend one of those before our meeting next week.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay.
And see how that works out.
So attend one dance before our next meeting. Okay. Okay. And then also with your family, we've talked about, that they're all distant. And you do have one son who's closer than your other 2 daughters. And he's about an hour away, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have done some research, and there is a transportation company that takes trips to that area twice a month. The next one is in 2 weeks. They've already gone this week, so not next week, but the next week they will be going up there. And if you would like, we could also, maybe if you'd like to, you could take that bus to see your son. And that could maybe be a way for you to see him more often. If you would like that
idea a lot.
Okay, fantastic. So we can get you up there. So for our next meeting, you're going to decrease your drinking each night by 2 drinks, okay? And I want you to track that, write down how many drinks you're having and of what. And then also, you wanted to attend 1 dance before our next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just write down those. And after the dance, if you want to just like start a journal, we can start a journal, and you can just kind of write down how you feel after the dance, how you feel about the dance, and just kind of write any kind of feedback, feelings you have, positive, negative, did you meet anybody,
Sure.
things like that. And it's just a good way to kind of reflect and get your feelings out. So it's just a good relief. And you could also use that journal if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling sad. It's just a good place to get all of your feelings out, and sometimes that's a good way to relieve negative feelings like sadness or loneliness as well. Do you want to also do that?
Sure.
Okay. So that's our goals. If you would like, we can still do those. Do you have any questions, concerns, comments for me?
I think we are good to go.
Okay. Then our next meeting will be the same time next week. And we'll come back and just bring those goals, and I'll write those down for you, and we'll get that, and we'll kind of discuss what happened. Okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Mm-hmm.